Here is the shroud. I'm about ready to print here. I'll move the light. Let's get this camera lined up ready. Okay, it's just about starting to print now. Just starting. Try and move this camera down a little bit. So that's a bit better shot. So just now I think it'll start trying to go across, trying to do the bridging. There we go. I think that's doing it now. From here at the moment, just a second, I'm trying to look with my, not looking through the camera, that looks pretty good, that. This is on 50%, no sorry, 75%. It's set to 75%, I said 50% earlier because that was the first, like, well it doesn't, the fan doesn't come on at all, and then I think it goes half of whatever you've set it to, give or take a bit. And then it goes to the full speed. So the part fan there, and it's finished. Yep, it's a very quick print this. So yes, the bed to move down, and as you hear, play a little tune there to let me know that's finished up there. This is, I've only asked for about 2 layers here, I think, if I remember right correctly. That's probably about the best shot, the money shot as to say. I'm still getting a little bit of droop in here underneath, I think. Probably see it there, upside down. There's 2 like holes with, well, let's call them indents there. Therefore, the 2 almost, don't know how well you can see them, but these do stick out, these 2 things there, to give it a bit more thread, I think, to bite into when you're putting a hot end on here. So I'm using button headed balls, which look good, but I don't particularly like them because sometimes it's easy to chew the Allen headed button balls, that is, chew, even though the Allen, like hex headed type balls, it's quite easy to chew these heads up on these smaller ones. So you've got one in there, one in there. Okay, then we're going to pop the hot end with some, I think these are 30mm M3s. Again, I'm using button headed balls here. So I'll put the hot end on, and when you're putting the hot end on, the actual hot end will also grip this back. I mean, that's on there pretty sturdy. Don't over tighten these balls because you will strip the threads in the metal back plate. There we are, they're screwed in. Oh, remember to put the heat sock on, although I don't think that's really needed because we do always have, this acts as a bit of a, well, let's call it a shroud on there. We do have a heat sock on, put that on first, make sure that's on before you bolt this in. I had to squeeze the wires over a little bit there. Then I'll show you this part. This is for the part blower fan. Notice that it does have these sort of plates in here. Now these help laminate the airflow, but also support when it's printing out. There are some going across here that you can't really see, so the air blows down there, along here, down there, and into the two gaps there and out around the bottom. That's the idea. So this basically goes in here, a bit fiddly. Make sure these wires are on the outside here. Sorry if I'm getting in the way. Should go down a bit more. There we are. A little bit fiddly there. Being careful with all these wires. Just in case I do forget or don't show you, I did have to put some hot glue on these wires, because these wires did come off when I was fiddling about with it. I don't think they're too strongly soldered on to come off, but I had to resolder them and put some hot glue on there. Just to try and make sure that those wires do stop on. So obviously I have one mark on here on this fan blower. Sorry, hang on just a second, to indicate which of these blowers is the hot end and which is the part fan. But if you're unsure here, I'm actually going to turn it on now to double check before I do screw. Well, I'm going to screw this on here first. I don't think there's any need to show you that, but there's 4 screw bolt holes there. Screw that on first, and then I'll test these fans out to make sure I'm getting a quick fan, because we don't want the part fan on here, we want the hot end fan on there, and we want the part fan up here, basically. Well, blowers, couldn't call them blowers, they're blowers really. So when you put these tie wraps on, actually come from the back and then round, because the actual let me show you, get another one out. These sort of the sort of locking part here sticks out, and then it stops this part from going totally flat against the sort of back plate. If you have these bumps at the front, okay, that the tie wrap goes through. So that's them from the back round, pull them tight at the back, chop off the excess, and I can put this on. These things I'm finding out as I'm doing it. It's a bit fiddly this, mind these wires up here. Be a touch on the hot end and such like. Then screw, well, bolt that on in 3 bolts. Okay. I have to excuse this, right on the limit of my tripod here. So there we are. Same the other side. Couple of bolts. Fasten that on there. I'm going to turn it on to absolutely make sure I get the correct fan on the front for the hot end. I think it's pretty sure it's the one with the mark on. It's that one. So this should turn on when I put the printer on. Yep, and it does. The other one is like for the part, and that switches on and off as it under control of the G code basically. Turn it off. Then a couple of M4 bolts and nuts on here. So this is a hot end fan. So we'll leave that, and then we get the part fan, which, as I say, is under control of the G code. We want the label facing towards us. Right, I've cut some bits of paper. There are some just A4 printing paper, copy paper, and there are some little bits of tissue paper down here. I'm just going to demonstrate how much this hot end fan blows. So let's get that turned on, and this comes on. This is on all the time. The print is on, basically, the hot end fan. Just let it stabilise a bit. Let it boot up. And you see how much that's blowing just here. Too bad, some of those bigger bits. Even those bigger bits, if I hold it a little bit closer, it's blowing them. So that's blown like down here, around here. Again, I've got some of these sort of, well, I'm going to help laminate the floor, but also to act as supports when it's printing out. Let's turn it off, and this basically wants screwing on the front here. Again, 4 balls. I'll do that and I'll come back. Okay, we see how powerful that fan is. Pretty powerful there. And it's I should call them blowers. These are technically blowers. They use centripetal forces to blow the, well, spin the air out with, so to speak. So there we are, M3 button headed balls to each side there. I'm going to put this, there's an end stop thing here. And that basically bolts on, well, into those 2 slots, again M3 balls, and that knocks against this X cabbage switch here. Okay, we've got some adjustment there, and you can adjust these. You can slacken these a nut, a bolt or whatever off there, T-nuts I think, if I remember right, and you can slide this backwards and, well, side to side if you need adjustment. There we are, that's that bolted on. As I say, you've got some sort of slot adjustment there. There are 4 holes in there, but I just use the 2 diagonal. Make sure that this switch, listen, does click. As I say, you do have some adjustment here a little bit, but you have more adjustment actually on this micro switch and stop switch here. Just slacken that off and you can slide it side to side. So now it's a BL touch on this other side, and I'm using button headed flanged. These almost have a, well, a bit like a built-in washer almost. That's what they call a flange there. Pull that on. Okay, I've set up the BL touch. Takes a bit of mucking about to do that, to be honest with you. Let's turn this part fan on. My temperature I want to be in, fan speed. I'm going to try on 50%, so it's a blower fan rather, sorry, it's a blower, 50%. I keep calling it a fan, but really it's a blower. That's 50%, a little bit noise there. let's come down a bit. Z, well, move the bed up a bit. Yeah, it's impacting there, that's about 20, 10. Right, that's on 0 now. Let's turn it down a couple of millimeters. No, let's put it on 5 millimeters. So that's 5 millimeters. That's on 50% on the fan. 5 millimeter gap there. Temperature, fan speed, put it on 100. Oh, you might hear the noise there. Still motion, move axis on. Try and bring it forward a bit because I think that's where most of the paper is. Yep, that's blowing that about. Let's move it left a bit now. Are we getting this? Just move that like that a bit. And that's really blown that about on 100%. Now actually this is no real advantage if you ask me. I've done some test prints on a previous iteration very similar to this. There's only slight difference, well, a big differences with this. So that's on 100. Let's turn it down a bit. Temperature, the fan that is. Let's try. I'm going to try 75, which is 3/4 of the speed. And the noise. Don't forget we got 5 millimeters higher here. So main motion. Let's bring it forward. Try and get this bit of paper here. See if it has any impact. Yeah, it does. We've seen that. You might have noticed that. Sorry, I'll zoom out a bit. But that certainly had an impact on that piece of paper. There's a couple of pieces of paper under there. Let's move it about a bit. Just move it X a bit. Yeah. Okay, let's move it back. Again, we remind you we're at 5 millimeters high here. Let's move X to the right. Seems to be where quite a bit of paper at here. Okay, let's move it towards us. Look at the, yep. So you can see, hopefully you can see it's blowing that paper about, so that's on 75%. Now, as I say, this has no impact on printing whatsoever. That doesn't stop, you know, sagging of filament. Now, what I'm thinking here is that if instead of blowing, it actually sucked, it might help suck any sagging filament up. And if you got the balance right there, you might have to direct it quite a bit, is that it would get a straight line instead of like drooping on bridging, that's what they call it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at this. Let's turn that fan off just to show you the noise levels there. That's 75%. Put it on 0. So this fan is still on, the hot end fan. That's a part fan blower. I keep calling them fans, but the blowers. Okay. Right, I don't know. I need to do a print now, just to test it, if nothing else, get this paper off.